Hey, it is Andy from the Fence Post Vinyl Blog. I just got back from a work trip to Florida, and when I returned, this was sitting on my porch. It is the 2022 pressing of the 13th Floor Elevators album, Easter Everywhere. Now, this originally came out in 1967. It was their follow-up to the groundbreaking, the psychedelic sounds of the 13th Floor Elevators. While that album is the one that is most known by that band for kind of introducing the world to psychedelic rock, Easter Everywhere is still very much within that time frame, having been released just 1 year later. Now, it's seen a handful of reissues over the years. I am quite excited about this one in particular, though, because it is on clear splatter vinyl, which looks kind of cool in the photos. So let's take a look. Let's take a look inside the cover and see what we think. So right off the bat, it has an outer sleeve with this hype sticker on it. I'm not the biggest fan of these, as pulling the records in and out tends to, well, these tend to be a little bit more flimsy and easy to break. So most likely what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna house the LP jacket in here, and I'll have an additional outer sleeve where I'll put the vinyl itself. Okay, right off the bat, this is strange. And I'll show you what I mean. First, let's take a look at the cover itself. Gatefold sleeve, it looks great. I'm loving it. The back, full print. Inside, very much indicative of the 13th Floor Elevators. I like it. So this is interesting. I'm gonna read a little bit of the liner notes to give you a little bit more insight into some of the history of this album. The mono edition of this album is ridiculously rare. Surviving IA paperwork suggests only a very few were pressed as white label promos for AM radio, and even fewer as mono stock copies that were probably sold to order. The mono mix offers a more solid sound throughout, with a notably heavier bass mix in comparison to its stereo counterpart. There are also some obvious differences to the mono mix. The jug on She Lives in a Time of Her Own is far more prominent. Levitation has a double-tracked lead vocal. Rocky's harmonica solo on I Had to Tell You is far clearer. So that's interesting. There's nothing yet that I have seen on this cover outside of that statement that leads me to believe this might be a mono reissue. Now on the back, I do see the mono stereo IA or International Artists stamp. Still really doesn't give me a full idea of whether it's mono or stereo, or based off of those pressings. So here's the weird part. Okay, you got printed and not. That's just strange. Why would you print one and not the other? So let's take a look at the first one. You got all of the lyrics. Oh, this is cool. Check that out. I like that splatter. Yellow and white splatter. Now here, we do see mono. And that shows on both sides. All right, I figured it out. Why would it say mono and stereo? Well, that's because this record comes with both versions. This is the stereo. And once again, now that makes sense why this would be a standard sleeve, whereas that one is the lyric sheet. Because it's the same songs, it's just a different master. All right, I'm gonna take a listen to this and see what I think. Go ahead and check out the description for a link to my blog where you can hear me talk a little bit more in depth about the album and the band and things along those lines. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.